Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Infinity Wars, Fallen Guardian, one shot. This is basically just the story of how, well, I won't get into spoilers until afterwards, but yeah, this would be a spoiler for Infinity Wars issue number 6. Go back and read that one first if you don't want anything spoiled in this one, because the whole comic book is a spoiler. Anything you talk about in the comic book is a spoiler, except for who made this comic book. So, the writer is Jerry Duggan, art is by Andy McDonald, and cover by R.B. Silva. There's a whole lot more people to give credit to, but the Stan Lee covers, man, they don't have the logo on it. The dressing is all the way at the bottom, and it's just standard print because they want to focus on the whole, oh, it's Stan Lee died and we feel so bad. Yeah. Can I please have my logo on the comic book? Would that be so hard? Would that be so much to ask for? Was it disrespectful to put a logo on the comic book for crying out loud? Anyway, so yeah, is what it is. I didn't get... I wound up forgetting the comic book. They all the covers for the most part look the same to me. Anyway, so I here come the spoilers. Basically, the Guardian who died, the Fallen Guardian, like Requiem, technically got taken away, so Gamora's nowhere around. But more than that, Arthur Douglas had to stay behind. So did Drax. They're both technically the same person, but they were separated now. They were technically two souls put into one. And that's explained a lot better here. You get a rehashing of the original story for how Arthur Douglas became Drax the Destroyer, and also how Heather Douglas wound up becoming Moondragon. So this was a really good comic book just in that alone. That's really all this was, though. It's kind of a rehashing of the origin story. Not a whole lot going on here, but to be honest, I did like this a lot better than I liked Infinity Wars issue number 6, because that just kind of fell, not flat, but even though there were consequences for what happened, it just felt like, go and check out my review for more on that. This issue, it was just more of a chance for Jerry Duggan to say farewell, at least for a little while, to Drax the Destroyer. Apparently, we can't have Drax back because he's holding open the rift that is going to keep, the Infinity Warp's characters alive. It's going to keep their dimension alive. So again, go and check out my Infinity Wars review. Infinity Wars issue number 6 review for more on that. But just as a retelling of his story and a whole bunch of additives that they put into this, worth it. This really was a fun comic book to read. It wasn't great. It wasn't overwhelming. I wasn't going to cry at any point. I didn't cheer at any point. I read the whole comic book and went right through. I was like, cool. But I did say cool instead of mother. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good thing. I did like the comic book, but all I did was like it. This was not great by any stretch of the imagination. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to recommend this comic book. I'm not going to recommend this comic book. But if you're a Drax fan, that's when I would recommend the comic book, because this was a solid Drax the Destroyer origin story issue. Really good, I don't know how many people out there are just like, die hard, Drax the Destroyer is my favorite character. Maybe Dave Bautista. But I will say that if you're a Drax fan, maybe you might get a little bit, heartbroken over this one. Or even if you're a Moondragon fan, you know what I'm saying? Because, yeah. But, yeah, this did a lot of good for the character. A lot of good for this character that, Jim Starlin just comes along and says, you're welcome. All that he did with this character, man, good, really good. So definitely consider checking it out. At the very least, read it over the shoulder of your friend who bought it, and then consider buying it then, Just whatever. But apparently this is going to be the last that we see of Drax the Destroyer or Arthur Douglas for a really long time. At least that's what I'm hoping. Unless he gets like a stick of holding open dimensions. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.